So I'm going to talk through two dashboards that we've built for clients, and I've changed some of the numbers around so it's anonymized, so they might not all make total sense. But yeah, and I'm going to be hopefully kind of exploring what these are and how they're useful to you and kind of the questions you should be looking at. But before I get into that, I first want to explain what I mean by funnels process, so we're all on the same page, and then we can look at some of the sales funnel questions that you should be asking, and then I'll talk a little bit around how we can get there. So what do we mean by a funnel process? So this is really pushing people through some sort of journey from initially kind of meeting with them through to kind of sales and business. For some people, for other people, it's kind of identifying someone who's interested. And it's really kind of marketing going, this is someone who we think is worth more conversations and it's worth kind of sales following up. And then sales have a process of kind of moving those through, qualifying those, maybe converting those in opportunities in business, or depending what type of business it is, maybe kind of just encouraging them to buy it through other channels. So what do we want to know about the sales process? So first we want to kind of check that it is working, because if your process isn't working, that's the biggest issue. So first we want to see from a marketing perspective, are we generating enough leads? So that's kind of your core. Are we identifying people? If we're not doing that, then we're not achieving our kind of primary goal for this part. And actually, where this is a volatile process, you're not going to be able to generate X number of leads at each time. It's going to be a bit kind of lumpy, depending on how people respond. So you want to kind of track over periods of time. Are we getting enough? Are we improving what we're doing? But then the next part is, are sales kind of following up on their side of the bargain? For the people that we've said, oh, look, these are interesting, are they actually communicating with them, moving them forwards, trying to qualify and push them through? So here, what we're looking at is we've got the number of leads that we're generating, and then we've got the number that sales have then actually actioned. And this chart below looks at the MQLs per month, and then the colours are showing kind of where they are now. So we're seeing the browns are those that got rejected, the pinks are those that were converted through to one, and the different blues are the different stages in the process. And actually the light blue, which is only a couple at the front here, are those that kind of sales haven't actioned yet. So what this is showing is a kind of healthy picture of sales are getting on top of the leads and working them through, although we're seeing quite a lot of leads from like June and July last year that are still kind of in the pipeline. Sales either haven't disqualified them and haven't converted them, so they're kind of still being processed. And then the last thing is it's not just are we providing leads, but are they actually good? Do they actually convert into sales? Where do they drop out? So we can track through the process to see where are the leads dropping out, what are the conversion rates. And you're seeing actually kind of the initial sales acceptance there is quite high, but actually getting them through to opportunity in this case was much harder. And depending on if you've got the processes set up and tracking, then we might be able to see the revenue that's coming from those people. So once we understand that it's kind of working and we're comfortable with that, then the next thing we want to do is how can we actually improve what's going on? So we want to see, we can look at the types of people and how that's kind of impacting the success of the funnel. So here, the example is I've got the people by job title. We've grouped up their job titles into different levels, and we're having a look to see which levels are performing well, which ones are performing badly. And here, so you've got some interesting things you can see. So C-suite, we're actually seeing quite a lot of revenue and good conversion through the funnel for those people. But the interesting point here is actually the revenue that converts into business is quite low. So the C-suite is looking quite valuable, but these people are only actually closing the smaller deals. So maybe something to look at there. Maybe we actually want to prioritize some of the lower levels of people who are actually closing more of their deals. And then you can look at a number of different segmentations, firmographics, and you might be trying to then prioritize who do we market to? Do we market to different segmentations, or who do we actually prioritize in terms of passing to sales as important? You could take this a step further. You could change what things you're looking at and also filter it down. So, for example, I might look at the size of the company and see whether this behavior is only happening for small companies, and maybe for big companies, the C-suite is performing better, although probably the other way around. And then we can also look at the campaigns and how those are affecting the performance of the leads that are generated. So this could either be, depending on how you're running your marketing, if campaigns directly generate a lead, then you could be looking at that, or it could be more of kind of an attribution influenced, any campaigns that a person kind of engaged with, then see how did those people perform, how many of them did you move to MQLs, and kind of what business did you then generate off the back of that. So this can help you to look at which types of campaigns are working, which ones aren't, which ones do you want to kind of emulate and kind of promote and use more in the future. And we also want to understand kind of where are the sticking points in the funnel. What are and why is that happening? So we can again look at kind of where the leads are dropping off, where the pain points are, and then hopefully we've managed to get sales to kind of track what those issues were, so you can kind of get an idea as to why something wasn't working. Maybe they weren't educated enough, or they didn't have budget, and so then you can start to think about, well, should I have a marketing campaign supporting a particular stage of the sales process that's addressing these issues, or do I need to address them earlier on in my marketing, so I'm kind of educating and providing people that don't have these issues. And then we can also look at how long it's taking to get through the funnel. So where is it that people are being slow or people are being fast? And again, kind of, do we want to support that with our marketing efforts, trying to, where someone's in the sales funnel for a long time, that's going to be a lot of effort for a salesperson. Maybe that's when marketing steps back in and educates or tries to push people forward with what they're doing. So once we've looked at all of that, then kind of how can we plan our marketing to kind of meet our revenue goals? So understanding the sales process and moving forward to actually planning how our marketing's working. So suppose you have your year's targets per quarter. You know what you're trying to achieve for the next year, and we've just looked at how long it takes for people to move through the funnel and how likely they are to convert through. So once you're kind of comfortable with those, you can pull together the number of opportunities that you need to create to reach those targets, or have some guidance on that. And then working that back a stage, we can go, well, when do we need to create our MQLs, and how many do we need to create to drive that number of opportunities? And then we can take that back a stage further to plan what campaigns do we need to run, and when do we need to run them to try to achieve the revenue that is going on. And actually, this will all depend on kind of your sales process, how long it takes. But in this example, I've said it's taken quite a while, but we're actually looking a year behind the revenue goals here, because everything's taking a couple of months to move through to get a campaign running to start generating leads. So what do we want to do to get there? How do we actually move on with that? So first, if you haven't already got there, you want to implement a funnel process, and you might already have the process within the business in terms of, well, we know that we pass leads across to sales, but we want to make sure that's being tracked. So making sure that that's systemized and in place, and that when sales follow up, they are kind of tracking that as well. So you've got this visibility of what's going on, and there's that kind of accountability. Then once you've implemented the sales process, you want to make sure that that's been followed by everyone. Everyone's put the data in, but we also want to kind of standardize the other parts of the process. So you need to make sure your data's clean. You've standardized your job titles so you can do segmentation and kind of that kind of optimization, understanding the types of people, how they're performing. You need to have the data to support that, and kind of standardizing the marketing so you understand which campaigns are similar, how can we group them to then predict performance in the future. And then once we've got that in place, then we can start testing, we can start monitoring, we can try things and try to improve, and you can test that the kind of new campaigns you're doing are actually having the impact that you're looking for. And once you've got all of that and you're comfortable with it, then we can start to do the planning, the marketing, and have that overall goal. All right, that's me.
Thank you very much, David. That was fabulous. Thank you.